From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
Setting up your land for success.
We're with Land Trust in Northwest Missouri, getting ready to go out and do a little bit of turkey hunting on Andrew McCrae's farm, Outdoors on the Farm.
We go outdoors on the farm with Chip Flory. No deal.
No deal struck and no meeting set for this week.
The impact the lack of a Black Sea grain deal extension is having on the markets, while planting picks up pace in the Dakotas.
I'm Michelle Rook here in South Dakota, where farmers are planting 24/7 to get caught up.
We move past the halfway mark when it comes to planting right now on AgDay. Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. It was hoped some warmer weather and timely rains would continue to keep planters rolling as we move past the halfway point. USDA expecting big things out of this year's crop, according to the latest supply-demand report issued last week, calling for record yields for corn and soybeans. So let's see where things stand right now. USDA says 65% of the corn crop is now in the ground. That's up from 49% last week and 6% ahead of the 5-year average. Missouri leading the way, now 96% planted. Checking on soybeans, they're now 49% in the ground. That's up 14% from last week and well ahead of average. Planting finally underway in North Dakota, now at 2% planted, well off the pace of 15%. And spring wheat planting still behind, but 40% of the crop is planted. That's up from last week, but still 17% behind normal. But it's been a slow start to planting in the northern plains, including South Dakota. AgDay's Michelle Rook joins us. And Michelle, things have started to pick up here in recent weeks.
With a record amount of snowfall here in South Dakota over the winter, farmers are actually surprised to be getting in the fields to plant this early. Many farmers expected planting delays after a tough winter.
We had over 50 inches of snow here at our place, and I just thought, wow, we're going to have a late spring and it's going to be wet out there.
3 weeks ago, I never would have guessed that we'd be in the field and it would be fit. There were still snowbanks in the shelter belts and the fence lines.
And while April was cold, soils have warmed up and dried off, a big contrast to the wet spring in 2022 in northeast South Dakota.
We're planting today and the topsoil is perfect. There's good subsoil moisture. I can go through every spot in every field.
So he won't have to take prevent plant like last year when 20% of his ground sat idle, and he's not alone.
Most everybody that I've talked to says prevent plant acres are probably not going to happen in South Dakota, but they do believe that they'll get it planted at this point.
With the ideal conditions, planting has been progressing quickly and farmers are going 24/7.
We've been running two rigs, 12, 16 hours a day, so we can put 600-700 acres away in a day. It doesn't take long.
So Schooley is caught up to his normal planting pace.
We are about 80% done on soybeans and probably 60-65% done on corn.
And with the good start, farmers are optimistic about yield potential. In South Dakota, I'm Michelle Rook reporting for AgDay.
All right, thanks, Michelle. The story is much different in Illinois, where the planting finish line is in sight. Lynn Martz of Maple Park, Illinois, was looking forward to some rain over the weekend, but rains in the state have been spotty. She says they've finished planting both corn and soybeans, but that's not the case countywide. Dry weather and seed treatments are helping farmers plant soybeans quicker this year.
So now we're more picky about planting corn than we are beans. If we're like, oh, should we start? We'll plant beans. So that's kind of the mindset. And especially when we were going through all of that cold temperatures, and we didn't want to put that corn seed through that. So that's probably why beans are ahead of corn.
Farm Journal agronomist Ken Ferry says it was getting so dry, farmers were waiting on rains to plant. But overall, he says soybean emergence is impressive this year.
That means that we're going to have, even our fullest season beans are going to be able to pre-solstice flower for us. Where last year, a lot of our hippo beans didn't come up till May 9th or May 10th. So even though they were planted early, they didn't get out of the ground, and we missed some of that early flowering window. So I think the potential for our soybean crop here is really looking good to have this many acres planted early.
Happening right now, it's day 2 of the annual Winter Wheat Quality Tour, and while rains have recently come through portions of Kansas, they may not be enough to save this year's crop. The latest survey-based USDA estimate of this year's crop shows how difficult the growing season has been. Still, USDA is calling for 1.1 billion bushels to be produced this year, and that would be 2% above last year. But there's also 12.7% more acres. So USDA Chief Economist Seth Meyer says it's obvious there will be a huge number of acres planted that won't be harvested at all.
A third of the acreage being abandoned, and the lowest number since 1917.
The other issue, for wheat that is harvested, it will face stiff competition on the world market, with a record large harvest expected in other parts of the world, and that could add up to a 50 million bushel drop in U.S. wheat exports. And while it remains dry in Kansas, there are more chances for moisture there in the southern plains. Meteorologist Matt Engelbrecht has the very latest.
Yeah, we're going to continue to monitor the chance of some more rain coming through, but overall the pattern this week is pretty quiet across the United States. You can see a system dragging through parts of the Midwest with some light showers, not necessarily severe weather potential through Wednesday, between our Tuesday and Wednesday across the plains, but more substantial rainfall back down here into the southeast as we not only pick up the Gulf moisture, but we've talked about this before, even the Atlantic, as we start to work deeper into spring, especially through summer, the available moisture off the Atlantic can be roped into some of these systems. So light to moderate showers, if not a heavy downpour into the southeast with some more lighter showers. Again, that's going through Wednesday. The flooding potential on Tuesday is going to be very low across the plains, increasing back here towards Kentucky, into North Carolina, as well as Virginia, where you get more into the 15 to 40% chance of flooding potential on Tuesday. On Wednesday, it continues to shift more to the east, but as I mentioned, pretty quiet until Thursday when we pick up our next low pressure system. And we'll talk more about that coming up in just a little bit. Go ahead, take a look at this. Louis in South Dakota sharing his photo from the field. And we love sharing the pictures from the field in South Dakota. He says his 9-year-old son still wants to sit on his lap and drive the tractor sometimes. Great to see those smiles. I'll have more on your forecast coming up.
Now, this sent wheat higher to start the week. Ukraine says an extension of the Black Sea grain deal, which is due to run out on Thursday, is uncertain. And Ukrainian officials say no talks are planned this week about it. The country's foreign ministry ambassador at large telling reporters the country was receiving conflicting signals about the future of the deal. Talks about extending it were discussed in Turkey last week, but Russia has threatened to quit the agreement unless its demands are met regarding its exports of grain and fertilizer.
No deal struck and no meeting set for this week. So essentially, you could say the Black Sea is shut down from Ukraine shipments right now. And
the latest numbers from the UN show the initiative has resulted in more than 30 million metric tons of ag goods being moved from Black Sea ports. A newly introduced bill would revise the CRP program to focus on marginal farmland rather than prime, high-quality land. The bill, called the CRP Reform Act, was introduced by Iowa's Chuck Grassley and New Jersey Senator Cory Booker. It seeks to focus future enrollments on marginal land and would set CRP's overall acreage cap at 24 million acres for the years 2024 through 2028. Now, the senators say the bill would increase incentives for enrolling marginal land, eliminate barriers to re-enrollment, and extend maximum contract lengths to 30 years. Now, they're hoping the act can be considered as part of the conservation title in the new Farm Bill. Commodity markets starting the week off strong with grains driven by a huge rally in wheat. We'll have details next. And later, 31 in people years is on the young side of life for humans. This dog named Bobby, it's a world record, his story in the country. And livestock producers, we want to hear from you. Zoetis and Farm Journal want to recognize you and the big impact you have on feeding our communities. The Zoetis Freedom Recognition Sweepstakes by Farm Journal runs through Saturday, May 27th. You can register to win a special edition golf bag or the grand prize, an amazing American flag wall display that we will be giving away on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now and you'll be taken to the sweepstakes entry form to enter for your chance to win.
AgDay is brought to you by Lamar's Toy Store, the largest and most diversified farm toy store in the U.S. They have new and old and do restorations and customizations too. You need to see it to believe it. Visit lamarstoystore.com or call us at 712-546-4305.
Wheat continued its march higher to start the week. Michelle Rook is back with details on a better day for grains in this morning's Markets Now.
Grains to the plus side on Monday. Arlen Suderman with StoneX is joining us with analysis. And let's talk about what kind of moved the market on Monday. Arlen, wheat was the leader. We've got production concerns, and there's concerns about the Black Sea Grain Initiative too, isn't there?
Yeah, there certainly is. And we're seeing those production concerns confirmed by Friday by USDA, certainly small crops there. You look at the Black Sea initiative, I think that's certainly in trouble. That's kind of been the case for a while now. We do anticipate that if it is not extended, the grain will continue to flow. It may be at a higher cost. It's all going to be focused around the cost of the insurance. And that's going to be a measure of risk. If you start to have an incident with a ship go down or something, then that cost goes higher. But generally, we anticipate that for a food-based commodities like that, that they're going to find a way to keep that grain moving one way or the other.
And of course, the WASDE confirmed the tighter crop, HRW crop. Do you think we'll get more confirmation of that this week during the crop tour?
Yeah, I really do. We're only going to be primarily touring Kansas and the areas surrounding southern Nebraska, eastern Colorado, northern Oklahoma, but they're going to see a lot of poor wheat, a lot more poor wheat than good wheat. I think that'll help confirm it and finally really focus the trade not only on the Kansas crop and surrounding areas, but the need therefore that we got to have a good crop therefore for the Canadian prairies. What about the dryness in Argentina making it difficult to plant that crop? What about Australia, which tends to have small crops in El Nino years? And then we've been having some dryness in the spring wheat growing areas of Russia and Kazakhstan. All of that matters a lot more now.
Would corn and soybeans have been up if wheat wouldn't have been up on Monday?
Oh, I think soybeans would have because of the smaller production estimate from Rosario Grain Exchange late last week. Corn, though, I think would have struggled without the strength in wheat and soybeans.
Yeah, it's been kind of a follower, that's for sure. All right, thanks for joining us. That's Arlen Suderman with StoneX Group, and we'll have more AgDay coming up.
Contact Arlen Suderman by email at arlen.suderman@intlfcstone.com.
Yeah, Clint mentioned it earlier about the southern plains trying to get some moisture or rainfall in those locations. It's going to be pretty quiet the next couple of days. And we looked at this earlier. Tuesday and Wednesday remain dry for those areas. Different story in the southeast, but the pattern is going to shift. If we look at what's going on with the jet stream, piece of energy going to be digging from the north to the south by the late stages of the work week and especially this weekend. So let's go and start right there. This is on Tuesday. We're going mostly zonal back out here to the west where these height lines really aren't moving up north to south until you get over here towards the northeast with that deep low pressure system moving to the northeast. Back on Wednesday and Thursday off to the west, you can see that piece of energy try to drop down. The stronger it is, the more moisture we can expect back down here to the south. Obviously, the weaker it is, turns into more of a clipper system with most of that moisture being locked back up here towards the north into parts of the northern plains. Now, this is a jet stream on Friday. What we're seeing set up is a very deep ridge that is going to be moving towards the north and then strengthening and moving to the east as we go into the weekend. So much like we've seen this pattern in spring, you got a low developing in the jet stream or a trough developing in the jet stream to the east, big ridge of high pressure, not a lot of rain chances under that ridge, but this pattern will try to break down into next Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So kind of that long term is going to be this time next week, starting to break down that pattern and that ridge that is going to provide some quiet weather across the plains and dry conditions as well. Now, this is Tuesday at 7 p.m. A little bit more specific, there's the showers and thunderstorms developing into the south and the east with clear, very dry air back up here into the Midwest and the northern plains for our Wednesday morning and into our Wednesday afternoon. Let's go and take a look at what's going on in Huron. Partly cloudy, high around 81 degrees, low of 50. Bishop, California, mostly sunny, high of 88 degrees. And Buffalo, Minnesota, high of 84, low 53.
Outdoors on the Farm is brought to you by Land Trust. Join our community of thousands of outdoor enthusiasts. Find properties, connect with landowners, and book an experience today. Learn more at landtrust.com.
There are uses for agricultural land beyond just farming and ranching. For many, land stewardship also means creating a thriving habitat for wildlife. Today, we're heading outdoors on the farm to Missouri with AgriTalk's very own Chip Flory.
Spring's in the air. It's time to go out and have some fun outdoors on the farm. I'm your host, Chip Flory. We are in northwest Missouri, actually on Andrew McCrae's property, and we are teaming up with the folks at Land Trust, heading out, doing a little bit of turkey hunting here in northwest Missouri. Come along for the ride with us. We're going to take a look at the prep. This is a really nice spot.
It's definitely more of a sanctuary down here.
Yeah. So we've got this nice clearing down here. It's just, I don't even know if there's a creek line that runs through here. Yeah,
right there.
There it is here.
There's water right there.
So tell me again where the birds are roosting.
So we think that they're roosting just north along the creek here. And then property line is this timber line right here.
Yep.
That there.
Yep.
And then it's like a box basically. So they come back here.
Right.
The Land Trust really simply is a website that facilitates landowners connecting with people who love the outdoors. We focus a lot on hunters, what we're doing out here today, and we're just out chasing turkeys.
Get back in the trees just a bit.
We can look out both ways.
You can shoot across the creek.
Yeah.
You can shoot up into here. If they make a move up there on that side hill, we can see them go. If we spot one that makes its way over to the green field, this looks really good to me down in here.
Okay.
Really good. Yeah, let's do a blind in here. I can see that fence post over there.
Yeah.
So I know where we can shoot to.
And then you drive in, you can see, right, there's where the game cam is, obviously, right down here.
And the blue dot is where we're standing.
That's where we're at right now. And then you'll see they've got, this is pasture that's fenced off, but they got cows in there right now. So when you click on that, it'll say, like, it's a no-go area.
What do you got for deeks?
We have one bedded hen, one feeding hen, one like watching hen, and then 2 jakes.
Okay.
So we can split that up either way.
I feel like you're in a pretty good spot. You can
I
probably drive the top, right.
Drive the top all the way over
to the fence.
Walk the fence line straight down, and that'll be quiet walking in.
Yeah.
There's a track there basically.
Right.
We're coming in through this and then going down and back up.
And if he does get henned up, the hens are going to go for a walk.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're going to come into this area and feed, I would think.
Maybe just go your way.
I like it. I'm guessing that wind lays down this evening, about 5 miles an hour in the morning. Big timber behind us. It's going to be noisy down here in the morning.
God, I love that.
It's going to be noisy.
Goosebumps with that.
All right, thanks, Chip. Now he'll continue this Outdoors on the Farm series with us over the next couple of days. Coming up next, Living the Good Life. We'll meet the world's oldest dog as he starts his 3rd decade in the country.
In the Country on Ag Day is brought to you by Pivot Bio. What if you had the nitrogen you need already on seed? Pivot Bio is the first company to apply nitrogen on seed. The nitrogen you need, now on seed, from Pivot Bio. Learn more at pivotbio.com.
Those farm dogs we all know and love can often live for several years thanks to an active life on the farm, but for the oldest living dog, it's far from a rough life. Meet Bobby, the Portuguese pooch that just turned 31. That not only makes him the oldest living dog, but the oldest canine ever recorded. Bobby's family threw him a birthday party over the weekend. His owner served him up local meats and fish because he says Bobby only eats human food. Now, his owner also says the secret to his longevity is the calm, peaceful environment that southern Portugal offers. And he says he's never been chained or leashed, and at his last checkup, he was reported to be in good health. Now, if you're wondering, Bobby's a purebred Rafeiro do Alentejo, which is a breed of Portuguese dog trained to guard livestock. Happy birthday to Bobby. And that's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day.